light the beam one last time for the summer of X-Men. That's right. Nerdy for 30's Summer of X-Men is coming to a conclusion now that we have reached the release of the long anticipated Deadpool and Wolverine. My name, of course, is Kevin Bauer, aka Critics' Choice. With me, as always, in any universe, my anchor being the people's champ, Tim Keck.
Wow. If you feel it, chase it, baby.
That's what I'm
saying that all the
about.
time now. I don't care.
I think that's
I don't
it.
care if it's not related to the X-Men at all. But you know what? I felt this movie and I'm chasing that high, baby.
That's
all
what I'm talking
it.
about, dude. You know, that's what it's all about. I liked Hey Buddy. I love if you feel it, chase it. I think if you keep doing it. I don't know if they do a Twisters 3. I don't think they'll use that line. So I think it's yours now. But Tim, we're not talking about Twisters or Twisters 3 here today. We are talking about Deadpool and Wolverine. We saw this last night. What is your one sentence take on this movie?
This is an insane, kooky, meta nightmare that is probably the perfect tribute to all of these like 20th Century Fox characters. I think we're going to be talking cameos, and there's like a few big names missing, but even at the end of the movie, they do like the slideshow, the montage, and they show all these actors like years ago when they first start in their roles, and they're highlighting everybody. And it really feels like an awesome celebration of all that work that they've done that will cease to exist now that they're in the MCU.
Hell yeah. When that slideshow played, I was like, are you really going to make me cry right now? Like when I got a little emotional. When they show Ryan Reynolds from the set of Wolverine Origins and he talks about how he always wanted to play Wade Wilson, and we know what version of Deadpool he played then and what he's gotten to do since. It was like, this is incredible. This is wonderful. I took a page out of your book. Mine's a little bit longer in a sentence this time, but I think a movie like this merits it. The ultimate heat check. Ryan Reynolds and team attempt to blend a reboot of sorts, a franchise revival, and a crossover movie while delivering a satisfying conclusion to a trilogy. It's not always successful, but the highs are goddamn high and the lows ain't too bad either.
I'd agree. I mean, I really just forget that it's the third Deadpool movie. That seems to be almost irrelevant to this movie. But it is also kind of a nice, if this is the last time we see these actors in the Deadpool world, this would be an okay tribute. I think this is okay.
Yeah.
What do you think? Do you think they're going to come back? Do you think we're going to get another, like a Deadpool 4? You think they're going to bring back Dopinder and Blind Al and bring them into the MCU? It seems like they kind of did, right?
I think it's possible. You know, it's weird. They've said so many times that this is not Deadpool 3. This is Deadpool and Wolverine. It's a separate thing. So I guess maybe I should take the conclusion to a trilogy part off of my synopsis, because apparently that might not be what this is in the first place. But it certainly felt like it was maybe an ending. It felt like this ended in a place where if we get Deadpool in the future, it might not be another full movie. Ryan Reynolds has kind of hinted as much. Maybe he'll just pop in for certain things. I think it would be really funny if they delivered on the Thor joke that they had at some point. Like if that is somewhere in the movies, I would love to see that actually happen. But they left it in a place where if this is it, it feels like a good enough farewell to the character. Same thing with Wolverine. I've seen a lot of people speculating already since the movie came out that they left this in a place where if Hugh Jackman wants to pick it up and play Wolverine for the rest of the Multiverse saga until they do the big recast and Secret Wars and stuff, he could. But if they want to move forward with a different person, they could do that too. So that in general probably leads right into the big beef that I have with this movie is that I think this movie and its humor and the set pieces they use were limited by the fact that the MCU doesn't know what the fuck it's doing anymore, dude. It feels like everything is way too loosey-goosey. It feels like everything was being changed. I definitely want to bring this up, but there were lines that were very clearly ADR'd over because what Deadpool was saying didn't match the way that his mouth was moving under the mask. So I wonder I wonder how many different permutations this thing went through. And I wonder what it would look like if Marvel stopped playing scared and actually stuck to something, put it down on paper and stuck to it and let the movies do it so that they didn't need to do reshoots every 6 fucking days. It really frustrates me because I do feel like that was what held this movie back for the most part. What about you? Did you have a big beef about this one?
Yeah, I mean, well, to your point, we've heard so much stuff about the writing rooms for Marvel movies, and how it kind of used to be like a acts of love and passion projects, and now it's really just a formula, and they churn this stuff out. And it feels like the difference between some of those movies and this movie is this felt like a passion project for Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman. I mean, I think those two guys are big enough stars, and they know this movie is going to be a smash hit, that I'd like to think they got to throw their weight around a little bit more. But they cut stuff. Marvel cut things from it. And I think if I would love it if this is the last time we talk about the multiverse too. I feel like we don't really need it. I don't know. It's so confusing. It's a great way to introduce people. I'm torn. For the movies, I think the multiverse is a lot and kind of a mess, but it does make all the MCU stuff kind of look like the comic books, because comic books are kind of a mess. And there's all kinds of weird continuity stuff. And then a new writer shows up on a comic, and all of a sudden the character is completely different or has a new power. And then you get a new writer and it's completely different again, and they don't have that power anymore. There's crossovers. People do all kinds of weird stuff. They blend worlds together whenever they feel like it. Like, the comic book world is so confusing that this kind of fits in with that. But as a movie, Deadpool's right. We really need a course correction just to make more Shang-Chi's. That's what I want. That movie's awesome. Just make Shang-Chi's. We don't need this like multiverse. I don't know. For Doctor Strange it works, I guess. But I think my biggest beef is the stakes of it. I don't really buy the emotional arcs of Wolverine and Deadpool in this.
Sure.
And I think that's probably the criticism of, is this an amazing movie? Probably not. It's incredible for people who are fans of this stuff. It's incredible fan service. But as a movie, why did Deadpool and Vanessa break up?
Yeah. Man.
Is Wolverine's whole thing really that he was at a bar when the X-Men were murdered? That's not enough.
Lame.
That's not enough. And that must have been redone. They must have done something else. You'd think that he would have done something to kill them all. I mean, in Logan, Professor X kills all the X-Men, right? So I think there's a version of this where Wolverine goes insane and murders all the X-Men. Like, that's a comic arc somewhere.
Yeah, that's what they did in Old Man Logan. I really thought that's what they were pointing toward here. And I thought that was cool. Even when he said the bar thing at first, I thought he was holding back, and then he was going to reveal that it was a thing. In the Old Man Logan storyline, the supervillains band together. They cloud Wolverine's mind, so he thinks that he's taking out all these different supervillains that are swarming the X-Mansion. In reality, he's just butchering the X-Men. And like, it's really traumatic. It's really fucked up. And it would explain why he's this messed up. Him being at a bar when people attacked, it's nothing. It's so bad.
Also, he's in a bar and the bartender is annoyed with, like, hates him because they're like, oh, Wolverine, you suck. And it's like, why? Because you were at a bar when this thing that is not related. Like, humans did this. Humans murdered all the X-Men. It's not Wolverine's fault. So why is this bartender mad at him? Why does this bartender hate him? Does he hate him because he's a mutant, or does he hate? I kind of got the impression that he did something so bad that everyone in the world hates him.
Yeah.
And that doesn't fit at all for me as far as that arc. And then the Vanessa stuff, it's weird. It doesn't make any sense. Why'd they break up? I don't understand it. I do kind of get the idea of Deadpool wanting to matter. That's something, but it's still not as juicy as any of the other movies, right? The first one was revenge and love. And the second one was forgiveness and like repentance and dealing with the loss of a loved one and learning to love again and found family. And then this third one is he wants to be an Avenger and didn't make the cut. And it's just a sharp turn.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my biggest beef.
I think that's good. We just talked about this with like how disappointing it is anytime you set up a relationship that's really good and really healthy and really supportive in a way that they've gone out of their way to make Wade and Vanessa in these movies, where it's comedic, the extent to which they're the perfect match. And then to have it just end in such a lame way in this movie and then have them working to get it back, it doesn't feel satisfying. you never mess with the relationships. A buddy of mine said one time that all the bad episodes of The Simpsons are the ones where it looks like Homer and Marge are going to get married. Going to get divorced. Are going to get divorced.
The opposite. Yeah. And so I hope he makes an honest woman out of her one of these days. Oh
my God, one of these days. They really don't bring up the fact that they're not married. But yeah, it's like, as soon as this thing that should be foundational is on the rocks, it's not fun anymore. Partially because we know the way that it's going to work out. Of course, he's going to win her back in the end. So it doesn't feel like there's stakes in the same way. So I'm right there with you. Both of those were big misses for me.
Their love was a driving force in the first two movies, and then it's completely bailed on. But like his relationship with her is crucial to the Deadpool mythos in these movies. And so maybe this was also, it does feel like both of these things were just excuses to do the cool stuff they wanted to do, which leads me to my thief. The Wolverine mask is maybe, I felt so many emotions when it finally came out. And I'm so happy that Hugh Jackman got to do this. He is fun. This was the closest to like fun, kick-ass yellow suit Wolverine. He wore the friggin' mask that looked a little goofy, but it was still incredible to see. It looked as good as it's going to look, I think. It's a dumb mask. It looks as good as it's going to look. And I was so excited to see it. And man, he just delivers. And it feels like this is the best version of Wolverine. Is that crazy? Is it crazy to say this is the best Wolverine we've got?
No, he gave it hell in this movie too. Hugh Jackman acted his ass off in this movie.
Yeah.
And was terrific the entire time. I mean, he was definitely a highlight of this. The mask, I think they got 80% of the way there. I think they can refine it. I feel like if Wolverine shows up again in the Multiverse saga, they'll do the mask. If there's another equivalent of the in-game final battle, they'll do the mask again. But I want to see them give it a little bit of refinement. To me, his eyes, the white of the eyes was a little too big under the mask. And I realized watching this movie for the first time, Hugh Jackman's got some big ass eyes. He's got some kind of bug eye thing going on. So I don't know if they matched the size of that to his actual eye size, but the eyes looked a little bit too big and they weren't quite expressive enough in the same way that like Deadpool's eyes are and that they let Spider-Man's eyes be now. So I feel like if they'd make those two tiny little adjustments to it, it'll look perfect. But
it was so cool. And it's another example of in this movie, I think instead of like writing a good script, they were just like, what are the coolest things we could do?
Yeah.
And it's kind of crazy that that's not a thought that crosses more MCU stuff, is just what would be amazing to see. You know what would be incredible if we did the Wolverine mask and they know it's incredible and they make it slow motion and they walk out and there's a music buildup. There's explosions. Deadpool reacts like, holy shit. Like they build it into such a moment and I'm in hook, line and sinker. It's huge. They make this thing that is like kind of a running joke with Wolverine in the movies and make it like an incredibly impactful moment, dude. It was so cool to me. I thought it was huge. Kevin, you got a thief for this one? I know it's hard to pick one.
I know exactly what mine is. Cassandra Nova, man. Cassandra Nova was so sick. Talk about an all-time villain. I mean, oh my God. I know she gets obliterated. There's no way that she's not coming back. Emma Corrin crushed this role. It was like Cassandra walked right off the comic page. It was absolutely phenomenal. The effects of the way that the hand goes in the head and like Matthew McFadden's eyes are like bulging out and shit. It looked so fucking cool. It's terrifying. It's amazing. She rips the skin off Johnny Storm. I'm all the way in on Cassandra Nova.
Dude, she was awesome. I mean, way too OP.
I mean, but that's Cassandra Nova.
Crazy.
That's the whole thing from that like Grant Morrison run on New X-Men is that everybody is so fucking powerful when they hit this certain level. And like, yeah, I feel like that's consistent with her characterization in the comics.
It's also very cool that she's trapped in this void. I very much appreciate that you don't have to have watched Loki to get this movie, but she's trapped in the void and ruling the void and likes the void. It's because she's allowed to be the monster she is. I mean, it's very cool. Her character's so good. I don't think I would have thought of that, honestly. I mean, she felt like a distant thought behind Wolverine and Deadpool. But you're right. As the big bad of this movie, she gives them a lot to play off of.
Yeah.
And I was thinking with like Deadpool and Wolverine, like Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds' relationship, and how Hugh Jackman, like you see them in interviews and they're goofing off and having a good time. But then Ryan Reynolds plays the character that gets to goof off. And Hugh Jackman's idea of a good time is just acting really good.
Yeah.
And so like that's how they get along. It's very funny to me. It's like how some people want to be engineers and some people want to be, I don't know, teachers. It's like these are incredibly different things. It's crazy people want different stuff like this, but it works so well. And the two of them playing off each other, and then Cassandra Nova coming in and being like straight up and down a badass is awesome.
It's really sick. That did make me think of one other beef that I have. Alioth is fucking stupid. This smoke dragon, we got to get rid of this fucking smoke dragon. The smoke dragon is so dumb, dude.
It's dumb. The Void is dumb. Loki's dumb. I think it's over, and it should be.
Yeah, I think the Void may be my like far-flung guess is that I think the Void is going to be the MCU's version of Battleworld, because in Secret Wars, all these different multiverses crash together and they end up in this thing called Battleworld that's like pieced together in the more modern Secret Wars. It's pieced together from these slivers of these different multiverses. So you get all these different variations of characters living together and intermingling and finding their own way to exist in this world that kind of feels like Universal's Islands of Adventure. Like as you walk around the outside of it, you go into all these different climates and stuff. I feel like they're going to use the Void for that because they already have this IP in place. People are already kind of familiar with this idea of the Void as this place that all these things from different multiverses end up. There's no way that the Void isn't Battleworld for the movie.
And they did kill everyone in the Void. So they've kind of got a clean slate there, right? They can just dump all the main MCU guys in there and mix it up. Speaking of all the people they killed, Kevin, I thought it'd be awesome if we did a draft of our favorite cameos in this. This movie is nothing if not a cameo fest. Kevin, you get the first pick. Who was your favorite? Who was your favorite cameo in Deadpool and Wolverine?
All right, we're doing 5 each, right?
We're doing 5 each.
Blade. Blade is the only one of all the different cameos. Blade is the only one that I actually popped for. I cheered, I clapped, I was vocal. Anytime any of these things happen, I think the only other time that I've like cheered and clapped in a Marvel movie in the past 5 years was when Cap caught the hammer. I mean, dude, seeing Wesley Snipes up there again, he's got the white flavor saber. Oh, so sick. So sick. Love Blade.
Okay, my pick is Johnny Storm. I think it has to be. That's like the next coolest one for me. That's the closest thing to a pop. Seeing Chris Evans in the MCU again was insane. It was crazy. It was so good. And they're teasing it so hard. And I really tried to turn my brain off for this and not overthink it. It was amazing when he turned into the Human Torch. Yeah. I was so excited. And I was so excited that he got to be a part of this and not be Captain America. I don't want to see him play Captain America again. I realized I really am it went perfectly. We don't need to see him again. I don't want to see Tony Stark again. They went perfectly. We don't need to. I don't want them mixed up in this garbage. But yeah, he played the Human Torch and Captain America. That's crazy. But he flames on in this and then just gets destroyed by Pyro. It is crazy. He just gets his ass kicked the whole time. Yeah. And it seems like Chris Evans is like buddy with them. There's a lot of Chris Evans in like the post credit, in like the credit flashbacks. It seems like he's one of their boys. So, and he got treated as such, but I loved it. He was awesome.
It was so good. The only thing that I wanted more from that is if somehow they'd done like a Killmonger thing. And so it looked like it was Killmonger and Captain America, and then it was just double torches.
Oh my God. Michael B. Jordan not being in this is a huge bummer.
I'll still take what I got. They did it. They played it exactly the way that I've seen people write out in half a dozen Reddit comments, where it's like, we think that it's going to be Captain America. And then he says, flame on. I mean, they did it beat for beat, which was fun to see.
I loved it. Incredible. Gosh, I hope we get a Michael B. Jordan Black Panther in Battle World or whatever it is. That'd be
so
amazing.
Sick.
Amazing.
Fuck, man, that'd be great. All right, me next, right?
Yep.
Tiny Wolverine.
Tiny
Wolverine was awesome. I loved it so much. It's the first one up. They played it great. I didn't think there was any, like, the best thing that they did with all these cameos, that's the thing that I appreciated the most out of this, is that this is a movie that's for the cameos. And they played the cameos so well. Like, they understood. We talk about this all the time. They knew exactly what this was. They played it right down the line. And they used that opportunity to give us things like we never thought we'd see. Wolverine crucified on the giant X. Never thought I'd see that in my entire life. Wolverine in a comic accurate Age of Apocalypse costume. Never thought I would see that in my life. But to start it with tiny Wolverine, amazing. Like, it set the tone so well. It was so funny. God damn. Okay. I want him.
Since you brought it up, I'm taking it. I was going to take it third, but number 2 for me is Age of Apocalypse Wolverine.
It's that cool as fuck,
so
dude.
Crazy.
It's awesome.
It was so cool. It's an icon. It's such an insane comic book accurate look in like an insane wasteland. And it's also so cool that they made Wolverine stronger. Yeah. I love it. I love that he got the MCU bump. Because watching Age of Apocalypse Wolverine just beat the living shit out of Deadpool and throw him into a wall was so freaking awesome. I loved it. I was so excited for that, man. It was great. So that's my number 2.
That was really sick. All right. So that's your number 2. So then I will take, oh boy, I'm going to take Cavalry.
Yes.
I don't know. So let's talk about Cavalry. Do you want to see this for the actual MCU Wolverine?
No.
Me neither.
No.
But he was fun. He's too big. He's so big, dude.
Henry Cavill needs to be in the MCU. Henry Cavill needs to play a superhero for as long as he can. I don't know how old he is, but he's jacked out of his mind, handsome as hell. And he's good at what he does. And I think he's also a lot more fun of a guy than than Superman lets him be. But I don't know. I don't know what the right role is for him.
You know what the perfect one is? Man,
I'm blanking on saying.
I heard this is a rumor. I think you wouldn't let me tell you this on the show because you didn't want to hear any possible spoilers, but it didn't end up happening.
Spoilers for this.
I heard a rumor that for Loki season 2, they we're looking at doing a cameo where in the Marvel universe, there is basically a fake version of the Justice League that's from a different dimension called the Squadron Supreme. So they're all very clearly mapped onto the Justice League members. And they're like one of the first kind of multiversal incursion things that ever happens in the comics for crossovers. I heard a rumor that for the MCU, they were going to try to do the Squadron Supreme, but with the actual Snyderverse Justice League actors. So like, Ben Affleck would be Nighthawk. Henry Cavill would be Hyperion. That's what I want. I want that so bad to just go like full out carte blanche on all those people.
That would be incredible. I mean, that's the best idea for sure. I was thinking maybe, who's like the guy who's like the actor? He's like the Man, but he has the huge.
Miracle Man.
No, not Miracle Man. He's the like actor. He's strong as heck. What?
Wait, the character's an actor?
The character is an actor and he wears glasses and he shades and he's got like an M on his chest. And he's
Wonder
like,
Man.
Wonder Man. Yes.
Flip that upside down, baby. That's a W.
Looking at it upside down. I thought Wonder Man would be cool. I was thinking maybe the Sentry, but I mean, you're 100% right. But it'd be cool to see him play Wonder Man. That'd be pretty awesome.
There is a Wonder Man coming.
There is?
Yeah, it's Yahya Abdul-Mateen. It's the guy he played Black Manta in the Aquaman movies. I think he's going to be real good.
Wow.
Yeah.
Don't hate it.
I love that character more than I have any right to. One of my big things when I was a kid is if you had your standard roster of people and then somebody was added to it, like Tommy and the Power Rangers is probably the first time it happened. And then anytime there would be like, here's our people, and then we're going to add one more to it. Whoever that new person is that would come in, they were always my favorite. So when I was reading the 60s Avengers comics for the first time, when Wonder Man gets introduced, they add him to the team like immediately. And it's all a ruse. But like reading those, I was like, this Wonder Man guy fucking rips.
I like him. I feel like I haven't gone enough of a deep dive on Wonder Man, but it'd be sweet. I'm excited to see him. Okay, so I'm up, right? Number 3 pick. I feel like this.
You know who you got to take.
It's got to be X-23.
Yeah.
Laura McKinney is my favorite. I was
your girl,
so happy to see her. It warmed my heart. Them at the end of the movie sitting together with the dog.
Mm-hmm.
Incredible that we had this amazing film with Logan, and then we get to see those characters later. That's crazy. That's insane that happened. They did like a kind of a reboot of both, I guess. But are we supposed to believe that this is the X-23 we saw in Logan?
I think so, yeah. Or maybe not, because they say that because Wolverine was the anchor being and died, that Ryan Reynolds' universe is coming to an end. So Laura would be from the same universe as Deadpool. So this has to be a different Deadpool. This has to be a different Laura, potentially.
But then there would have been a Wolverine and Deadpool's universe. I'm already confused. I think maybe we can just assume they're all from new places. But then all the other cameos, we'll get to them. But a lot of these guys are just lifted from the movies, which is amazing. Yeah. And I'd like to think they're not all anchor beings, right? I'd like to think it's all the same people. I guess it doesn't matter. You've got the actor playing this character. Who cares if it's the same exact one? There's a multiverse. They might not be the same exact one, but the way the multiverse works, there's probably a parallel timeline that's pretty much exactly the same, except people eat radishes way more than we do. And, they're just hanging out in that. So, okay, Kevin, number 4. Who
it's you got? Coming. Channing Tatum.
Yes.
Channing Tatum Gambit was a blast. They played it perfectly. It was like, it's the best way to use him comedically. It was exactly like, I think it's a spiritual successor to the My Name Jeff scene in 22 Jump Street. That accent was so funny. And that's always something I think about with Gambit. And they lean into the accent in the cartoon. I don't think they had Taylor Kitsch doing the accent too strong. I think maybe he had a little twinge of it, but like to see Channing Tatum go all out on this comedic accent. And also, he looked as dumb in that costume as I always knew he would. Like the whole problem with him being he's way too thick to be Gambit. No disrespect, man. I know you really wanted to play the character, but like you're too thick for Gambit. Gambit's wiry.
He doesn't look like a Gambit at all. No. I don't think he has the I don't think he's a sexy guy. Am I crazy?
I mean, he's in Magic Mike, so yeah, you're fucking insane.
But I feel like Gambit is like, like woo you, like with words and like smooth talking. And I just don't think of Channing Tatum as that guy. If he's taking his shirt off and gyrating, sure. I know people will be into that, but he doesn't strike me. I don't know who the best Gambit casting would be, but like Taylor Kitsch, I thought was a much better Gambit than Channing Tatum was. Good. And if you're Channing Tatum and you're going to be in this movie as Gambit, you got to play it for comedy. And it felt like that's all he was doing, was just goofing off. And the accent's so bad. And he looks so dumb in the costume.
Mm-hmm.
And it's incredible. Did you like Gambit's powers in this?
Yeah, I thought it was sick. I thought they were great.
Yeah.
The fact that's the other thing that I feel like made people love this a lot is the fact that it's an R-rated movie now. So when he's making the cards explode, people's bodies are fucking exploding, which is, I think, not something we've ever seen with Gambit.
No, you're right. That is very cool. I guess I wanted to see him charge something that wasn't a card.
Oh, like
I was expecting some kind of a cool combo. Yeah, I was thinking of the claw combo immediately. And I don't know. I wanted him to just like blow up a van or something like that. I don't know. Because he can do all that stuff too. It felt like, and they do this thing where the cards are like floating around him.
Mm-hmm.
It's very weird, but you're right. Watching him stick cards to people and then clap and they all blow up.
Yeah.
Incredible. So cool.
Tim, who's your number 4?
Number 4, I think I have to go with Elektra.
All right.
I love that Daredevil movie. I love Ben Affleck Daredevil. I watched that so much growing up. It was on all the time. I think Michael Clark Duncan was an incredible Kingpin.
Phenomenal.
I loved his Kingpin. I thought Colin Farrell playing whatever.
Bullseye. So good.
Bullseye. So cool. So fun. And Ben Affleck was great. I mean, Ben Affleck's a good actor. It was very fun. It's a silly movie. They have a fight on, a playground, and they make a joke about, Ben Affleck and Jennifer Gardner married, divorced, have kids together. and he died in this universe. And she's like, it's okay. Very funny. I was excited to see her. I was really excited to see her. And, not to body shame Blade, but she looked like she could still kick ass.
Yeah.
And
Blade looked weak.
Wesley's tiny. And I'm kind of bummed they didn't just pad the suit. Like, he's already fully covered. Just throw some muscles in there, make him look jacked. He looked in the face. He looked great, but he just was so much smaller than he was as Blade, especially in the first two, that it was that was a little bit of a bummer. Whereas Jennifer Garner, I'm like, oh yeah, she could just show up and kick ass immediately. She seems like almost too much of a grown up for this movie. She just seems like, I don't know, maybe it's because I'm always seeing her as like a mom and like she just seems like a mature human being, that seeing her in this movie that everyone else is goofing off and fucking around and she's kind of doing the Elektra thing is pretty funny, and it works. So I liked seeing Elektra. Thought it was great.
Me too, man. It was good to see her again.
Yeah.
All right. For my number 5, I'm going to zag. I could not, in a universe of not believing that you're seeing someone, I fully could not believe we were seeing. I'm taking the Russian from Punisher. Holy
Wait,
fuck,
what?
Dude. The Russian from Punisher was in this, and the red and white stripes.
Which Punisher?
From the Thomas Jane Punisher movie. The Russian comes, and there's like the coolest fight scene in that movie. By the way, we got to do the fucking Punisher on this podcast. The Thomas Jane Punisher movie absolutely rules, and I really want to see if it holds up.
I'm more of a Warzone guy, but I get it.
I never saw Warzone. Maybe we do a little back-to-back Punishing.
We'll do some Punisher. That sounds great.
But like in the first one, that's the fight. I believe that's the fight where it's in Thomas Jane's apartment.
He has all the hidden stuff.
He's got all the hidden stuff. I think that might be the one where he takes the paper cutter blade off when he's heading into the final battle. But either way, he has this incredible fight with this guy, and the Russian was in this, and I was losing my mind.
That's great. Was that the big Jack guy? Because they kept
Jack
showing
guy with
one
the red
guy.
And white stripes. Yeah.
And I did not know who that was, but they showed him enough that I was like, I should know who this guy is. Yeah, all that's crazy.
We're coming to a close. Who's your 5th?
Okay, this is not a person, but my favorite cameo, I'm going to say it's a cameo, was the Fantastic Four car.
Oh, yeah, dude.
They drive.
Oh, the Fantastic car.
I was so excited to see that for some reason. I thought it looked so good. I don't remember it looking that good in any of the other Fantastic Four movies, but seeing the 4 and the logo and their stupid round car, which is so dumb looking, but seeing it in the flesh and I don't think we've seen that, right? They don't have a hover car in the first 2 movies, do they?
They have something in Rise of the Silver Surfer, because I think there's a scene where they like fly out. I can't remember if that's when they fly out to the Arctic to talk to him, or if they just like fly really high into the air and talk. Or I got to rewatch it. I watched a little bit of the first Fantastic Four movie before we started recording, and it's very bad, but it's in a fun way,
Yeah, I remember that car, and then they also had the car where the 4 of them each had different seats.
Yeah,
and it was like they had 4 different ships that all kind of linked together.
But they all look stupid because they have to connect. So I always thought the side ones looked dumb as hell.
Yeah. So they've just got a thing pointing out on the sides. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But I got so excited for it, man. Should I be excited about seeing the Fantastic Four?
I'm very stoked. So we're recording this on Saturday, July 27th. Marvel is doing Hall H tonight. So like by the time this posts, Hall H will have already happened. I remember 2 years ago, the last time they did Hall H, we all thought we were going to get a reveal of the Fantastic Four cast or the costumes or something. We got to be getting something tonight. All the posters have Fantastic Four all over them. They did a drone show last night. So I think we're going to get some actual like costume reveals, some actual like concept artwork looks or something at least. And I'm pretty fucking fired up for this, dude.
Dude, I'm fired up. I was so fired up leaving Deadpool and Wolverine. I didn't see any trailers, no spoilers. It was awesome, man. I had such a good time watching this movie.
What a great time. Same here, man. Yeah. Listener, what did you think? Let us know. Send us an email, nerdy430@gmail.com. We will read it on the show. You can also just jump on our TikTok or Instagram and drop a comment on there. It's just as good. We'll still see it. We will be back here again next week. Actually, I think we're coming back. We're coming back on Thursday with The Boys. We're talking about The Boys season 4. So we'll see you then. Finish up the episodes. See you back here. Till then, stay nerdy, everybody. Bye.
Stay nerdy. Bye.